Good morning from Singapore. Welcome to the Music Matters Academy, day 2. My name is Jasper Donat, CEO of Branded. We are the producers of Music Matters for the last 16 years. If you joined the opening session yesterday, you'll have heard this already. But every year we produce a Music Matters Academy here in Singapore, but it's always live and we're always in the same room with each other. This year, due to all the various travel restrictions, of course, we're 100% virtual, which is great. We do miss you, but it also means we can spread our wings, we can bring in more people to speak, and we can cast the net to a much more global, diverse range of attendees as well. If you did attend any of yesterday's amazing sessions on publishing, I'm sure you agree that whether you are an artist or an executive, it has never been a more exciting time to be in the music business. The Music Matters Academy is designed to help build a foundation for musicians and next generation business leaders to learn and upskill through the mentorship and knowledge sharing of some of the world's top global music industry icons. You could be an artist or a manager, you want to get noticed, you could be an exec looking to learn about other areas of the business. This is the business of music taught here by the music business. So we've designed 8 modules over the next 3 months. Yesterday was publishing. Today we're looking at platforms, distribution, and later in September we're moving into marketing, artist management, entertainment law, live streaming, working with brands, and mental health and well-being. Today we have 3 power-packed sessions as we move to look at digital platforms, distribution, and most important of all, how to build your audience and monetize your content. And what a lineup today. We have global leaders from YouTube, from TikTok, from Spotify, Believe, TuneCore, Ultra, and even amazing artist Sophie Tucker, who joined us from New York. The content is virtual. It's mostly live, but we also want to hear from you. So please do get questions in. Here's a great opportunity to ask these global leaders some questions about you and your life. What can they teach you today that you can take away with you today? There are also 2 private Meet the Speaker sessions, which are smaller groups. You have to have signed up for them. Not sure if they're full. I think they're pretty much full, but check it out. Click on the little seat next to the agenda and you can join and ask even more questions of the speakers. Finally, as you will have noticed by now, the Music Matters Academy is free. It's free to attend, and that is very much thanks to our partners YouTube and Believe, also support from Dolby and Steinberg Protocol. We don't want to charge young artists and managers to attend a music academy. We want to cast the net as wide as possible. So thank you so much to those partners. So thank you again for joining. Please do enjoy, please learn, but again, please do feel free to get your questions in. So on with the show. As we said, yesterday was all about writing and publishing. I've written a song, so how am I going to get it published? Today, it's more about I've recorded a song and I've even made a video around it. And I want the world to hear it and see it, but how? There are so many amazing options available out there. So we're going to start today with 2 global leaders in the digital world to talk distribution, audience building, and monetization. In a moment, we're going to meet Andreea Gleeson, who's the CEO of TuneCore. But first, let's say hello to an old friend of Music Matters, Christopher Muller. He is YouTube's global head of licensing. He has been at Google for, by my terrible maths, 18 years.
It's not terrible. That's correct. Hi, Jasper. Very happy to be here.
Has Google been around for 18 years? So Christophe, welcome back. Last time we saw you, we were on stage together in Singapore. But for people who weren't there that day, who are you? Where are you? And tell us a little bit more about what you do for YouTube.
Sure. So hi, everyone. Very happy to be here, even if it's just virtual, but very, very pleased to participate in this panel. My name is Christopher Muller. I head up our YouTube's music licensing activities and businesses, managing the relationship with labels and publishers globally. I am from Europe. I'm from France. Nobody's perfect. And I live in California, just south of San Francisco, where I reside with my family, my wife, and my two kids. And I've been here for 7 years.
So
And as you said, Jasper, I've been at Google a long time, 18 years, and about 12, 11, 12 with YouTube now.
So tell us a bit about your role. It's a global role at YouTube, but tell, what do you do? What do you tell your friends you do for a living?
Actually, that's a question my kids ask me. When we moved over here, and they're still fairly young, 9 and 11, but say, "Hey, Daddy, what is it that you do at YouTube?" It's pretty cool, that works for YouTube. But what is it exactly that you do? And so what I tell them is I actually make music available on the platform. What we do, what my team does, great team by the way. We manage a relationship with label partners, whether they're big, small, or like medium, distributors, but as well as publishers, collection society, so that when you bring it all together, the music, it's all here. It's on YouTube, and you can actually go on YouTube and find every song or version of a song that you want. It doesn't happen by chance. I mean, it's backed by licensing agreements that my team and I, craft and support, all with all the partners.
You mentioned your team. I mean, no company is too big or too small for YouTube to talk to. I know a number of your team, certainly in this part of the world, spend a lot of time. They're not just talking to the major record labels, right? I mean, they really are getting involved with absolutely every facet of the music business, right?
That's 100% correct. As I said, we talk to the majors, but not just the majors, also to independent labels as well as emerging artists. We have programs like the Foundry program that's geared towards helping and supporting emerging artists, and helping them break through. So yes, we do have an open door and want to talk to everyone that makes it this great music business.
I mean, as a recipient of that service, we've done a lot with YouTube separately from Music Matters, and I can say the service has been fantastic. I'm not saying that because you're supporting the Academy. It really is an amazing service. I've got gold buttons and silver buttons and what have you. So look, let's go back to music, and a lot of the questions that were coming in yesterday were from artists and young artist managers. So I'm an artist. Yesterday was all about I've written a song, now what? Today is about, okay, I'm an artist. I've made a video. It's great. So I just upload it on video on YouTube and that's it. Or how do I grow my subscribers? How am I going to get people to watch my video? How am I going to get noticed?
So I think the first thing I would recommend, an artist does is get educated. Like this is what we do together here, as a proud sponsor of the Music Matters Academy, because there's been so much change. I mean, artists have never had, more options than today when it comes to distributing content and making it available globally through the different platforms. I'm not just talking about, format. I'm also talking about different platforms. Different types of content, and that's an amazing opportunity. I think what's also interesting to see, and what we notice is that we see a lot more artists, taking control back, like keeping the IP, their IP, and working with a team, a great team, to help them, while they keep the IP, make the most out of, the various distribution, ways that they have, and I think that's really interesting. So, like I would say, start by getting, understanding what's available to you, right? So, and this goes beyond YouTube, like all the other platform out there, right? And it's, again, as I said, it's complicated, but there's never been so many options. I think the second thing is really try to build an audience, because building an audience is everything. Once you found your audience, and you have to talk to your fans, probably in different ways depending on which platform you're engaging with, but just on YouTube we have over 2 billion users coming on online to listen to music every month. So understanding who they are, understanding how to talk to them, understanding and listening to them is going to be very, very, very important. And yeah, like I said, I think getting a great team around you, is going to be critical, because when you're, especially when you're independent, like independent doesn't mean like you need to be alone, right? It is important to surround you with people that can share their success stories, that can share the skills as well. So that, for instance, if it's important for you to remain in control of your IP, you can, because you have the right advice from the right lawyer with you. So that's just in general. Do you also want me to share some of the ways that you can, actually on YouTube build an audience, Jasper? Or like, is that something
Yeah,
that
I mean,
makes sense?
I think any practical advice that I, as a extremely famous pop star, that our attendees, our audience, can learn today about how do they grow their audience. And I know we've got later sessions in September and October covering things like marketing and promotion and what have you. But you talked about the founders program stuff. Yeah, if there's any advice you can give about growing those views on the videos or your subscriber base, would be fantastic.
I think. Sure. I think when it comes to music videos, I don't think there's any substitutes for like the audio visual. Like, it's great that you create a song and you have it ready, and you covered that yesterday. But with sound and motion, you can share so much more of your emotion, so much more of your story. So I think there's so many opportunities to make the most out of the visual that you can create by, and making that available on YouTube. So the first thing you need to do is, you either do it yourself or you go with someone, but you need to create your presence on the platform. And my first advice to everyone out there would be to think about your brand and who you truly are, not just in the context of, say, YouTube here, but across the multiple platform platform that you want to engage your audience with. And so, for instance, think about the official artist channel on YouTube and the billboard you have there as your biggest, as your channel, as your biggest billboard, the way you establish your brand. So you can start by crafting your story, by really establishing yourself there. And then when it comes to your content, as I said, audiovisual is very, very powerful. So, but it's not just about the song and the video that, Jasper, you said you have as an artist. It's also about what are the other sort of iterations of that you can bring, so that you create momentum. You can get the audience to engage. I'm thinking teaser. I'm thinking lyrics video, not just the music video. I'm thinking, a dance video, just, to share the beat. One of the success we see on the platform, and whether it's across artists or just YouTube creators, is, having a regular schedule and a regular way to engage with the audience that you find on the platform. So I think that's really important, that creating that momentum, creating that connection. And as I said earlier, I think it's important to also listen to the feedback from the audience. So you have different ways to engage. You can listen to the comments. You can respond to the comments. You can share some of the comments or videos that are uploaded by or communicated by your fan base. But just being there and listening, I think it also goes to like authenticity. Being yourself. It goes back to the brand. Like, establish your brand, craft your story, establish who you are, and then stick to it, and then use that as a way to really get people to fall in love with you. I know it's simpler said than done, and you're right. There's a lot of competition out there, but again, you can do this by following a few sets of good practices that are available on our website, or just work with partners that we have. And TuneCore is a great example of people that know the secret of how being successful on YouTube, what it is. And so, yes, I mean, I would encourage everyone to do
That's fantastic. So we've just managed to compress 18 years into a 3-minute how to build a channel, and it's fantastic. And I'm very lucky. I get to speak to a lot of musicians, but also YouTube creators. And a lot of them they do say, you've got to keep going, you've got to create this presence, establish your brand. But one video ain't going to do it. You're not going to. I know a lot of musicians fall into that kind of trap of thinking, well, I've recorded the greatest video ever, I've just uploaded it. Now, why isn't anyone watching it? So we're going to talk about that through the day, and with Andrea as well in a little bit. But final question to you here is, and this is the million, maybe $1 billion question.
I'm ready.
How am I going? It's about the money. How does an artist monetize their video, their presence on YouTube?
So it's interesting you mentioned that, because just about 2 months ago we published 10 ways to monetize on YouTube that's available to all the creators. But before going into some of the details here, I just want to say that we're very, very pleased and very excited with the way monetization going on the platform. The two engines of growth of monetization here are advertising and subscription. And you may have seen, but we announced in June that for the past preceding 12 months, we paid more than $4 billion to the music industry, and we're very, very pleased and very, very proud of that. So these are the two main ways, again, the two engines of growth of monetization today for an artist, and are ads and subscription. We are obviously looking into many other ways, like new ways of alternate monetization to digital goods. There's ticketing, maybe less of of a focus these days, but merch. And we also announced very recently, because YouTube Shorts is an incredible momentum, an incredible product that we're pushing very, very hard, and very proud of its success so far. We also announced the fund available to creators, about $100 million. So there's multiple ways to do that. I could go on for another 2 hours on this, but I know we also have Andrea here. So, but happy to come back to it if there's any more questions.
That's brilliant. Well, what a fantastic segue. Christophe, we're going to park you in a virtual green room for 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you so much for everything you gave there. Really exciting stuff. And as you said, they really are very, very responsive to the artist community. Without the artists, there is no YouTube, right? So look, up next we have Andreea Gleeson. She is TuneCore's CEO. She has helped build TuneCore into one of the most dynamic and innovative companies in the independent music space. She has created a best-in-class service for independent artists for today and tomorrow. Andrea, welcome to the Music Matters Academy. Welcome to Music Matters. I think this is a first for you. Hopefully we will see you in Singapore one day live. But so as an introduction, please, for the audience, could you just give us a little bit on who are you, where are you right now, because it's clearly dark, and what do you do for a living? And then we can talk a little bit more about TuneCore. But who are you, where are you, what do you tell your friends you do?
Yeah. Number one, thank you for having me. And I do hope to go to Singapore at some point. That would be terrific. Thank you very much for the intro. I'm actually in New York City. It is now 10:18 p.m. here. So doing a late one with you guys, but I'm very excited to be on and joining you. And as you mentioned, I'm the CEO of the company. I actually just was promoted last week. I've been with the company almost 6 years coming up in December. Just to give a little background on myself, prior to joining TuneCore, I actually spent over 10 years in the retail industry. So I actually don't come from the music industry. I come from e-commerce. What I've really kind of brought to TuneCore over this time is really digital experience and helping modernize the company. And so what I tell people I do for a living, because one thing when I made the move from retail into the music industry, and for TuneCore specifically, I was just very much struck at what TuneCore was all about, which was supporting independent artists and helping them to be able to do things themselves and to do it in a way that was democratic and fair. TuneCore, founded 15 years ago, we just had our 15-year anniversary this year, was the very, very first company that introduced a flat fee distribution model, which means prior to that point, everybody was charging a percentage of revenue to get the music out. And we came back and said, no, we want to pay 100% out to the artists. And it was really important, that we don't keep a part of that percentage. Instead, we just charge a flat fee. And for that, we provide a service. And so what I tell people that I meet, what I do is I essentially help independent musicians have their own small business and do it in a fair way. And, it's helping them grow their careers, which is super meaningful for me.
That's fantastic. Your halo's cut off a little bit by your webcam, but so tell us. So you're helping artists. Like we said with Christophe earlier. We've recorded a video. We've got our publishing taken care of. So you then take the artists and give them that presence. I mean, tell us a little bit more about TuneCore. How do you work with artists? Can you name any of the artists that you work with? But yeah, what are your main services?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing we do is we provide distribution. So artists pay us $10, and then we get that song, that single, out into all the digital stores, into YouTube Music, into Spotify, into the music libraries of TikTok, into YouTube Shorts, over 150 stores worldwide. And what I love is that it's not just the main stores, but also the local ones. So, KK Box in Asia, and Hungama in India, and Yandex in Russia. Because what's really important is your audience could be all over the world. You just don't know where they are. I can't tell you how many artists I talk to, and they say, hey, I suddenly started to build an audience in Scandinavia. Who knew? And then what we do is we get the music out. We then collect all of the revenue from all the stores and pay it back into one central account for the artists and give them reporting. And then they use that reporting to help them know, oh, hey, I have an audience in Scandinavia. Let me go tour there. So it becomes almost sort of the hub to inform other aspects of their career that are happening offline from the music sales. Because, playing live, all the merch sales, all that is a very important part of the ecosystem. It doesn't happen through TuneCore, but TuneCore helps inform. So that's the main way that the main service we provide. We also do provide, great that you mentioned publishing, because through TuneCore, we actually provide publishing administration service where you can opt in unlimited tracks for a flat one-time fee. And then we collect all of the songwriter royalties very easily from all over the world, very, very quickly for our artists. So those are two of our main services that we provide.
So where do I sign?
That's the other important thing, is we're open to everybody. So it's not a process where we curate and we look at, like, you've reached a certain level. If you want to go, if you have $10, you can put your music out and we can get it into YouTube Music. So
that was you saying, even you, Jasper.
Even you, Jasper.
Even you. That's awesome. So we touched on, Christophe mentioned DIY briefly earlier in his session, but what does do it yourself? What does DIY mean to TuneCore? I mean, that's really, is it everything that you're about? And what does DIY mean to an artist?
Yeah, I talk about this all the time about our artists. I mean, it's today, if you're looking to get signed, no matter whether you want to be a DIY and independent or you want to get signed, today, if you want to get signed, you still need to have an audience. I say that labels sign audiences, not artists. And so there's no way about it. There's no shortcuts. Gone are the days where someone would listen to a demo and be like, that person, I'm going to go sign them today. You do have to build an audience, and everything that Christophe was mentioning earlier about some of the steps you take is very, very important. You have to wear a lot of hats, which means initially, until you start gaining some traction, you have to do your own social media. You are writing and performing and recording and maybe even mixing and mastering your own music. You are booking your own shows. I mean, you're doing all of those things, which is really, really hard. And, this is where YouTube and TuneCore are very aligned. We actually do a lot of education too, because it is hard to know what to do with all of those aspects of your career. You obviously, as a musician, you just want to focus on the music. But the reality is at the beginning, you do have to do a lot of these things yourself. And then as you gain traction, you can hire people and make that team that Christophe mentioned to help you get to the next level. So what I will say, though, is that the DIY artist is representing the fastest growing sector of the music industry right now. So according to Midio, which is one of these research firms that puts out an annual study, in case you guys aren't familiar with it, for 2020, they reported that DIY artist music grew 34% and broke over $1 billion mark. This compares to total recorded music growing only 7% last year. So this is where the growth is happening, is in DIY artists, and it's here to stay.
That's fantastic. I mean, can you name any examples of a DIY artist that, so people, the attendees might be able to understand, associate themselves with? Again, as mentioned with Christophe, having worked with so many influencers and YouTubers and stuff on stage, when you see them, these massive stars, tens of millions of subscribers, and you realize they're just human beings, right? And they have started there once before with 0 subscribers, and So are you able to, who's got it right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a few examples that are kind of different stages of their career. I think one that we feature actually very prominently on our website is Russ. He started his career with us I think in like 2008, and he had he actually shares his revenue statements from like back in the day where he was making like pennies every month, and now it's like millions of dollars every month. So that's a great example. Another wonderful artist that really started from the ground up is Cupcake. She actually has hit the iTunes chart, ranked #1 multiple times with every time she debuts an album for female hip hop. It's just fantastic. We also have an artist that just got signed actually from TuneCore to Believe, and she's a little bit less known. Her name is Charlotte Sands. She actually is somebody that started distributing through TuneCore, was just starting out, and had a viral moment on TikTok, and now is like really capitalizing on it. So there's many stages of your career that you start off and there's no going past doing the work, but then as you start to get that traction, again, you can there's things you can do, and you can leverage it. I'm all about like what Believe does is fantastic, because they have a team of experts, and then there's a point when you can't do things yourself, and this is why the relationship between TuneCore and Believe, in case you guys don't know, is TuneCore's parent company, and we have a program where artists from TuneCore are upstreamed up to Believe to then support the next level for their growth, because there's a point, unless you're hiring your own custom team to do all of this for you, you kind of run out of being able to do everything yourself. So again, many stages, many solutions. There isn't a right or wrong. You just have to pick what's your journey that is right for you.
Fantastic. So you mentioned that DIY has really been a huge growth. So someone joked yesterday that the music industry is just a bunch of 3-letter acronyms, because we were talking about POS and DIY and stuff. But what the last couple of years has been tough on a lot of musicians, but there have been positives as well. What has changed in TuneCore's world, or in the independent music world, in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to kind of expand on the last example I just gave with that female artist. Her name is Charlotte Sands. If you haven't seen her, check her out. She has this awesome song called Dress, about Harry Styles wearing a dress on the cover of Vogue. So this is the thing that I think is so fantastic that's happened recently, is that it used to be that music discovery was happening through the recommendations you would get from DJs and music critics. You would listen to radio and you'd be like, oh, there's the songs that are like the ones, and that's how you discover music. But today it's really happening through word of mouth, with social media being the vehicle. And we are seeing that out of nowhere, listeners are deciding that song. And in the example that I just gave about Charlotte Sands, she had put out the song. She hadn't even intended to distribute it. But she put it out because she liked it, and she was like, all right, this is great content for my TikTok. And this is happening on all these platforms, including YouTube Shorts. I want to make sure it's like YouTube Shorts and Reels, TikTok. It's happening through all these social platforms. And anyway, then I went back to this video to kind of look at how this viral moment happened, and everybody was like, where is this song? How can I find it? Put it on Spotify. Spotify, please, immediately. And, essentially then putting the music and releasing it. So what's happening is the fans are finding these songs that they really resonate with through the social platforms. And then it starts to gain traction. And for me, it was very noticeable that a shift was happening with the social platforms, because the DSPs started to ask me, hey, what songs are trending on these social platforms? We'd love to know, because we'd like to get a heads up so that we can start featuring them in some of the playlists. So it's really interesting that this is becoming just an area that for DIY artists, it's open playing ground, is what this means. And there's a couple things artists can do to really take advantage of this. One, great that you're posting things to the platforms, but you don't want to get caught on guard. You already want these songs to be available in the music libraries. So if you use a service like TuneCore, you can actually get your music not only into like the main streaming services and download stores, but also into, when you say distribute to TikTok and to YouTube Shorts and to Instagram and Facebook, that means it shows up in the music libraries as a selection. So not only does it have the opportunity to go viral when you do a post with your song, but also to become available for other people to use it into their songs. So, example, I'm out on vacation. I post a beautiful picture of sunset and I post it to my stories. And I want to put a song behind that. Guess what I'm going to look up? I'm going to look up what song has the word sunset in it. And essentially, like Petit Biscuit, Sunset Lover will show up. And I'll put that. And that's a fantastic song for that. This is how songs can start to end up in people's social moments. And then everyone's like, what is that song? Oh, and they will go and look it up. What I think is really brilliant of what YouTube did actually is they've embedded YouTube Shorts directly into the YouTube Music app. So that as you're screening through Shorts, if you want to learn more about that artist, you just at a click of a button actually end up in the full immersed experience of their videos, their music, etc. So YouTube's definitely got it right with that, because they leave you all in one encased environment, so you don't have to go click off from TikTok into Spotify, as an example. So this is something artists can be taking advantage of. It is absolutely what's happening right now. Is music discovery is happening on social media.
Fantastic. So on that, and thank you for bringing YouTube back, because it's perfect timing for us to bring Christophe back into the room. Thank you for being patient there, Christophe. And we're going to ask a few questions to both of you now. We've got some questions coming in from the World Wide Web. Any more questions, please get them in. What an opportunity to ask these two global leaders right here, right now. First question for Christophe from Nacho Tome. What a great name. And I hope I got the pronunciation right. Are there any plans of adding the possibility to video creators to add music to videos? Example, Instagram offers this in stories.
Sure. We actually, there's two ways of doing this that already exist. The first one is, and I think, Andrea, you touched on this, by music library. So that's been around for, I actually don't know, but for a long time, where we have a set of songs fully cleared that are available for any creators to just use and pick from there. But the second thing that I wanted to highlight here that I think is really, really interesting is all the work that my team and I have done over the past year and a half, which is to make sure that we have a library that's recent, exhaustive, large, of songs available for people to actually use in their shorts. So this is a short form video, and right then and there, as Andrea said, you go on YouTube main app, you click, create shorts, and then you add music, and you have, you can search by genre, you can search by any type of, just do a search, and you have the music of it that's available and that's fully licensed for your shorts. So we're doing this already, and obviously we want to expand that to make sure that the library is as exhaustive as possible. But this is a great question. So yes, this is very important to us to make sure the music gets distributed at large and at scale with all our creators that are flourishing on the platform, whether long or short form creator.
Thank you, Christophe. So Andrea, you were talking about DIY a lot, and just as you started talking about DIY, the house next door started hammering nails into the wall. So if anyone can hear hammering going on in the background, I do apologize. That's the internet. So there's another question from Matthew Fackrell. Hi, Andrea. Thanks for a great overview. Congratulations on your promotion to CEO. When you say TuneCore can administer an artist's publishing, and it's got a good apostrophe there at the right place as well, are you only talking about publishing for those digital platforms that you distribute to, or does this extend to all publishing?
All publishing. So there's three components to the publishing collection that we do. So we've got the performance rights organization. So that's the performance, TV, radio, ringtones, the digital performance, so streaming, satellite, and radio, and also the mechanicals. So this is on the recorded sales mechanicals and the streaming mechanicals. And then we also do direct licenses. So we actually have a creative team that actively goes and tries to place syncs for artists. So if you're a publishing administration client, you became eligible for being a part of our library that we pitch to music supervisors for commercials and video games and all of that. So the synchronization, we also monetize on the master use fees from that synchronization use, YouTube, and the lyrics in the print. So across the board, I guess, long story short, we do full collection.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that. If there are any more questions, please get them in. So look, we've talked about very broad brushstrokes here with both of you. Christophe, I'm going to ask this to you first. And please, we don't want you to name names. That's not interesting at all. But it's more about where do you think, and it doesn't have to be just YouTube, this is in the music full stop, the whole idea of, we talked about building audiences and listening to fans and creating a presence and what have you. Where are artists getting it right? But perhaps more importantly, where do you think artists are getting it wrong? And we asked this yesterday to a lot of the speakers. What are the rookie mistakes that artists make in building a presence? So Christophe, let's ask you that to you first.
Sure, and I think to tie it back to what I said earlier, I think one of the rookie mistake is just to you have your song, you have your music video, and you upload it, and then you sit tight, and you sit there and do nothing. That's not going to work. I mean, Andrea mentioned it earlier. Like, there's a lot of competition, and so to really be emerging from everything that's happening on the platform, whether it's ours or any, actually that probably works for any types of platform. You really need to hustle. You really need to get going. And this is about what I said earlier. Like, start thinking about building your audience. I think, Andrea, you said it. You're right. Like, with the tools today, the democratization of content creation is there. But there's also tools that help you better understand, like, again, where your fan base is. Is it in the same country? Is it a different, time zone? Like, that will influence eventually your release cycle, maybe, and how you think about it. So there are tools there that we make available to better understand, who our fans are, but also how to, create that dialogue with them. We can talk about video premiere, which is a way to really shine a light on your, latest release and music videos. I talked about the release, the upload cycles that I mentioned earlier. It's not just about your song or your video. It's about the audio. It's about the video. But you have different versions of all of that you can just create and nurture. So make your song available, in the music library from TuneCore or anyone. Like, there are ways for you to get your work out there, and I think that's important, because if you just sit there, I don't think anything's going to happen. I think I see another trend which is that I see artists do, which are maybe jumping on the trend even though it's not really your own self, emotions that are carried. I don't think you can fake it. I think you need to be authentic, and especially if you're destined to become, to go on stage and tour again, like, you can't fake it on stage. So, like, don't start online. I think that's really important. You just stick with who you are, with your own story, with, be authentic is something you hear often when you talk to artists who, started on YouTube and made it on YouTube. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, be authentic is something that comes through a lot in conversations, again, with creators and musicians, is that they all, to a point, every single one of them says, be creative. You can't fake it. That people will out you immediately if you do. Andrea, same question to you. Where do you think that the artists are getting it right? But again, perhaps more importantly, where are they getting it wrong?
Yeah, I would say the artists that are the most successful are really disciplined and organized. I think that if you leave things to the last minute, you're just not going to be as successful. Like, it's good to set up your release 3 weeks in advance of the date you want it to launch to make sure that there's no issues. Just things can get hung up, and you want to make sure that you are just prepared. Plus, just to kind of piggyback, because I totally agree. Like, you need to build your social media plan while you're building your content, like to make your music. And those things don't need to be mutually exclusive. Like, what I mean by that is, while you're creating your music, start to grab content. Actually, it becomes a really good way to tease your audiences and make them excited about what's coming. Gives them a little behind the scenes. And then it is authentic. Couldn't agree more about being yourself. I mean, if there's like a dance challenge out there and that doesn't suit you, don't do that. But find the thing that does. And so be organized, have a plan, one thing I tell my team all the time is, if you can hit 2 birds with one stone, do it. And I'm like, how many birds did you get me with that one? Get me 3. Try to do as much, make everything complement each other and make it you. Grab your video content for your social media while you're recording, put it out there, give a little tease to your audience. It builds your audience while you're doing it, and have fun while you're doing it. I think that, like I mentioned earlier, you do have to wear a lot of hats at the beginning when you're starting your career. And the important thing is be curious, have fun with it. You're going to make mistakes. But that's a part of the process. And the biggest advice I can give is that there's no shortcuts, and be patient and don't give up. You got to keep working at it. The things you shouldn't do, or the things that just take time, is a part of the process.
I'm trying to catch up with you on writing my notes. Interestingly, you said so much there in one sentence. It's like, interesting, you talked about dance challenges. Now I have to find a dance challenge that does suit me. That's going to be the rest of my day. You've just completely taken my day away from me.
We can help you with that.
And my team are now going, right, we have a challenge. So look, I'm going to ask final question to you both. Let's stay with you, Andrea. And I've run out of space on my notes, by the way. Aside to everything we've talked about, you spend your whole day in the music business with artists and with great people. What's really exciting for you right now? And that could be for Andrea, for TuneCore, for the world, for music, for the world. What's exciting for you, Andrea, right now?
I think this is the best time for DIY artists. I mean, I just live and breathe what I do, so it makes me really excited. And I'm just so excited to see that right now, because of technology that's available to artists, and all of these tools, like Christophe mentioned, that there's things that can help you. It is like the time for artists to be able to have their moment, that the ones that are doing it themselves and taking charge of their career. I mean, even Kanye was like questioning if he should like relook at his contracts. I mean, like, everybody is like relooking and getting more educated. And I think that we're in a moment where the playing field is being leveled, and DIY artists, like, things are accessible, and they just have to put in the work. And if they're talented, that it's that much more likely that they're going to be successful. So I'm just really excited about that, about where we live and what it means for artists today, because it's completely changed the dynamics.
Fantastic. Christophe, same for you. What is exciting right now, for whether it's for Christophe, for YouTube, for Google, for the music world? What's cool right now?
I think what's really cool right now from a sort of music industry perspective is, going back to some of the trends I highlighted before, but there's no barriers to entry anymore. Like, it's easy to get your content out there. You don't have to sign up your rights. You don't have to go through radio. You can make it happen. There's so many options available. Like, and it's not just YouTube. It's like multiple platform, multiple format, multiple ways of monetization. And I touched on some, but we haven't even talked about, and I think you have, I'm sure you have panels on this as well, about NFTs and all that, right? So this is all super exciting to me. I understand it's tough right now with the pandemic, right? And not all the countries are situated in the same way. Um, um, but there are opportunities nonetheless out there for people to really, jump behind and get the content out there and and monetize it really in a meaningful
Brilliant.
way.
So I am gonna sneak one last question in for you both. And I want what we've been doing. We're humanizing you. We've had these amazing speakers, and we're going to continue to have amazing speakers to the rest of today and for the rest of the academy. But we want to humanize you, and I love this question. So you have just bumped into your 16-year-old self. What advice would you give to you at the age of 16? There's some gorgeous stuff. My answer is always get into gaming and learn Chinese. But Andrea, what would you say if you bumped into your 16-year-old self?
Oh my gosh.
Hazel from Museo yesterday said, "Dump your boyfriend."
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
I can go if you want, Andrea.
Christophe, what advice would you give yourself?
It's going to be more. It's probably going to be a bit more boring than Hazel, but I actually get similar questions quite a bit because I've been here such a long time, as you highlighted, Jasper. And I think that applies across the board. But my two advices are, be patient, and I think you mentioned this, Andrea, before, even for emerging artists, because you can't have it all from day one, and you have to put a lot of work and hard work in it. And so patience is I think is important there. But I also think adaptability. And then we talked about the change in the last couple of years that the pandemic brought onto us, not just the music industry, but everything. And you have to adapt. And we're making this happen. And I wish I could be there with you, Jasper and Andrea, like in Singapore, but I'm not. But we still make it happen. So you adapt, and you have to adapt to different ways of distributing your content, different ways of monetizing. And that's where innovation plays a key role. And this is why I'm excited to be at Google and YouTube even after 18 years, because there's so much innovation that's still at play here that we literally have to continue to push the envelope there, and there's so much more to do.
So you probably were actually 16 when 18 years ago.
I'm a bit older than that.
I'm being nice here. Andrea, have you had a chance to think? You've just bumped into your 16-year-old self.
I was like a very kind of rebellious at 16. I don't know. I would probably tell myself that your parents get nicer. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I have a nearly 16-year-old daughter. I'm going to give you her WhatsApp. Not you. Just send her a message saying your parents are great. Just listen to them. Listen, both of you. Thank you so much. Now we are going to disappear into a smaller room for those people who've registered. If you haven't, there might be a couple of spaces. Please do. If you want to have a chat with Andrew and Christophe and just talk. And if you're artists or managers or music people or any people, we can have a chat. But I have written some notes. This is a great session. Here's a very quick summary, but there are no barriers to entry in the music business. If you are an artist, you can get in there. There is an open door at YouTube. Get education, get educated to be able to talk to 2 billion users. There is lots of change, lots of formats, lots of platforms, but there's also lots of competition for you out there as well. Build an audience, talk to your fans. They aren't coming to you, but there are tools to help you find them. Build a team. It's a lot of work out there. Create a presence, establish your brand and connection. We said listen to your fans. We talked about monetization through ads, subscription, but also other options like merchant and ticketing and stuff. But you have to build your audience first. I think that's the real key point that's been coming through the whole way. They ain't coming to you. DIY is hot. It's up 34%, but you have to wear lots of hats: social, writing, recording, booking. But up to a point, and then sometimes you do need to bring in a team to help you get your music into libraries. Discovery is crucial, and then finally, I think some real key points here. If you're a musician or a manager or in the music business, be authentic. Make mistakes. It's fine to make mistakes. Be patient. Don't give up. And there are no shortcuts. So Andrea, Christophe, thank you so much for joining us today. That was a wonderful session. We are going to see you in a minute in that private room. So you're going to be whisked away digitally, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming up for the rest of the day. At 12 o'clock Singapore, Hong Kong time, we are meeting with Patrick Moxey from Ultra and his amazing artist, Sophie Tucker. Now, it was pre-recorded because they're in different parts of the world and traveling, so we recorded that earlier this week. It's a brilliant interview. They're fantastic. If you want to learn from the guy that is one of the biggest names in EDM and hip hop, and from one of his artists at the coalface, absolutely brilliant session. That's at 12 o'clock. And then later this afternoon, we have the CEO of Believe, we have the global head of music for TikTok, and we have the global head of licensing for Spotify. What a power session in store. So please join us again this afternoon. Also, get your feedback into me. I want to know what you think of these sessions so far. How can we improve them? Anything you'd like us to talk about? I read literally everything that comes in. So again, thank you for the session today, Andrea, Christophe. We'll see you backstage in a minute. Thank you so much.